Hey guys, we are back. We have Mason Greenblatt right here,
Hey,
and, and I am Robert Greenblatt. We were talking and we wanted to jump on here real quick, guys, and talk about offers and the market and how to get your offer to stand out. And the reason we want to talk about this is because Mason was recently servicing a client and client made an offer on the property. The offer was not accepted, and not because the buyer did anything wrong, but there were 54 offers on this property, 54 offers. Now, even in our service area, even in what's still considered a pretty hot market, that is extreme. That is extreme. So today we want to share with you three tips or three strategies, I should say, to help your offer stand out. If you're looking to buy a house right now, there are a lot of things you can do to help your offer stand out. Price, we know, is always number one when it comes to a seller, but there are other things, especially when some of those top offers are very similar. So Mason, what's the first tip that we have when an offer is presented that might help a buyer rise to the top of consideration?
so escrow deposit. So how much we put down as a deposit will matter. But versus a buyer could put down 1,000, or they could put a $10,000 deposit down,
20,000,
or even 20, as much as you want. And those are, I believe, in the seller's mind, those are big factors that they consider when looking at offers.
Yeah, absolutely true. So there is no rule, at least in this area, on what is considered the correct amount of escrow deposit. Sometimes it's also called a good faith deposit. Because remember, guys, if you're buying a house, that's your money, right? You get that money back. It gets applied to your down payment and closing costs at the time of closing. But from a seller's perspective, it shows that typically the more you put down in escrow, the more committed to the process you appear to be. So that's why Mason said that about the escrow deposit. So if you can put down $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, that shows the seller, hey, I'm in. A low escrow deposit doesn't mean that you're not in, but the lower the number, sometimes the more likely someone is to walk away during the course of a transaction and not worry about the deposit, if that makes sense. All right, what is the second tip that we can give people, Mason, on helping their offer stand out?
So home inspection, what it is, how do we cap it at a certain dollar amount? Do we waive the home inspection entirely?
Yeah, exactly. So the inspections are a big piece of this, especially in a competitive scenario, right? In most traditional cases, we have a right as buyers to conduct a home inspection, hire a professional home inspector, go through those motions and see what's going on with this particular house. What some buyers have been doing for the last couple of years as the market has heated up is some buyers are actually waiving their inspections. Good idea?
I'm not in the position to answer that.
Yeah, probably not a great idea to totally waive that right, unless you really know your way around a house, maybe. However, another creative way that people have addressed the home inspection piece of it is I like to use the term a home inspection deductible. And we'll have another video where we talk about that in more detail, but the concept would be, okay, here's my offer, seller. I'm not concerned about home inspection items unless the total is over $5,000, for example. No right or wrong with this either. But the message, similar to a message that gets sent with a strong escrow, the message that would get sent with an offer presented in such a way is, hey, as a buyer, I'm not going to nickel and dime you as a seller through the inspection process. I'm not a really nervous buyer, and I know that no home is going to be perfect, right? So we have the escrow deposit, how to handle inspections in a creative fashion, and what might be a third tip we can give people today, Mason?
Appraisal gap. So in this crazy market, when homes are going for way over the asking price, there's always that concern: is the home going to appraise?
Yes.
So
Exactly. So, assuming someone needs a mortgage, because if they don't need a mortgage, or if you're paying cash for a house, the appraisal gap is irrelevant. But through the mortgage process, an appraisal is ordered, right? And when an appraisal is ordered, that appraiser's job is to go out to the house and make sure that that house is worth what I offered on the house, what our contract price is. So if I offered $10 for this house, that appraiser has to justify, using industry standards, is this house worth $10? Now, in this example, an appraisal gap could actually probably be another video in detail, but for this conversation, what Mason is talking about, guys, is an appraisal gap means that I might, as a buyer, be willing to cover some kind of difference between what our contract is and what it actually appraises. So using the silly example of a contract for $10, right? What happens if the house appraises for $9.50, Mason? Then what happens if in that case?
Well, you have a 50 gap.
cents, a 50-cent gap, right? So what a buyer might say is, depending on the buyer's particular situation with finances, is I'm offering $10 for this house. I will cover a gap, if needed, of up to $1, up to $2. Obviously, those are silly numbers. Let's say it's a $500,000 house. Let's say the house was listed at $475,000. I offer $500,000. And the seller says yes. And I also include a gap element in there. I might say, well, if it appraises for up to $10,000 less than the contract price, then I'll cover it, right? You're not going to cover more than a gap. That doesn't make sense. But you might be able to cover. You might be willing to cover up to a certain dollar amount, and that's an important piece. And the details we'll go over in another video, guys. So those are 3 tips, right? We have the escrow deposit, we have the how to handle home inspections, and we have getting creative with appraisals and appraisal gaps, right? How's the market here in South Jersey, Mason, right now as we record?
As crazy as it could possibly be.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I would say maybe a year ago it was a little crazier, but it is still pretty crazy. Some of us have been in this industry a long time, and we've seen it kind of go up and down and up and down. Last couple of years, it's been crazy. There is just not enough inventory. So if you're thinking about purchasing a home right now, we should have a chat, right? And we should talk about, we have other strategies too that can come into play. Everybody is going to be in a unique situation, and we're going to develop a strategy which works best for you. What do you think?
That's it. That's
all right. Sounds good. Then that's a wrap. We will see you guys again real soon. Mason.
See you later.
And Robert, we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this video, place a comment, and we will respond. Thank you for your support.